What's up, flooring family? Welcome to the huddle. Coming to you every single Tuesday at 3 p.m. Central to discuss maintaining forward progress in your flooring career. I say every single and except last week.
And a few times before. We try to make it though.
Yeah. I think we're hitting a 95, 98% hit rate. That's pretty good. With me today is Daniel Gonzalez from Preferred Flooring via Nashville. Down there hanging out with the Protect All folks, it sounds like.
Yep, I just got here probably 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago, something like that. So I had enough
Nice.
time.
So you guys are down there kind of
I haven't even seen anyone yet.
Oh, gotcha. All right.
I got up here, I put everything together, and then just went and checked the pool out real quick, and then hopped on.
Well, we appreciate you being so diligent, not leaving me alone today. So today's topic is hiring and training installers. Look, if we had the exact answer, we would be proposing the solution to the entire industry. But I think this is more of a discussion about successes and failures on what I've experienced being in flooring for over 20 years, and what Daniel, and if Jose jumps on here, what Preferred Flooring, kind of their side. I'll also speak kind of what it took for me to get in the industry. So I want to open with this. One of the things that I found is a good common denominator on good installers, guys who have been doing it for quite a while and do good quality work. Almost always they love the finished product. Like that's what they love. That's the part that they love. They love like walking into a building or a home and transforming it within days or weeks of them being there, because we're the finishing touch. That was certainly one of the things I still enjoy when I go out. I just enjoy it vicariously through other installers who work for us now. I go out to a job site and I see something, the before and after is still something that really gets me going, and it seems to be a pretty common thread. So it'd stand to reason. Do you guys kind of see the same thing on your side, Daniel? Like,
I'm sorry, I'm trying to get this link over to my brother.
Oh, gotcha. Well, I think it stands to reason if this is part of us. It's kind of like an artist and seeing this thing come together and a project kind of come together from a you unfinished.
Yeah, because you just think of people in general, and we like that instant gratification, right? We touch on this numerous times, and there's nothing better than being able to see what you've done from the start of the day to the end of the day and knowing I'm the one that did that, right? I think that especially like early on, that's how it started with me. It's like, did I always want to do flooring? Absolutely not. But there was that point where you do something and you finally do it yourself and you're like, I did that.
Yeah, dude, it's that satisfaction of completing something or doing something that's kind of maybe a complicated layout or something that finishing that product. It's just something you can't get. Hey, Jose. It's just something you can't get by pushing a button in a factory, or being on an assembly line or something, like putting the same cigarette thing in a car for 40 years. So I think that one of the things in hiring installers, you're looking for someone who finds satisfaction in completing things, and you can formalize, and this is kind of geared more towards employee installers. So for everybody who use subs, we use subs, they do too, but for everybody using subs, this is probably more pointed to the employee installer side. But finding people and asking the questions that can in an interview that can kind of bring out that, like, do you find satisfaction in completing projects, or you know, what's your favorite part of starting a project? A lot of them will say finishing it, you know. Um, so there's a lot of ways of hiring. We've done a bunch of different things, from the Monsters and Indeeds and things like that, all the way to you know, Craigslist. And but I think Daniel and I was talking earlier, I think word of mouth is panned the best out for you guys. And, you
It
know,
has.
frankly, it tends to pan out the best for us as well. So, you know,
It's
there's
one of
something
those.
to having that lead.
Yeah, sorry for being late, guys. Couldn't link up with my computer, so I was about to try my phone, and then it populated. But word of mouth
No worries.
has been probably the best, right? Because nobody ever wants to really let a friend down. But it does happen, and when it does happen, you're always a little bummed out, more than you would be if it wasn't a time friend, right? Or someone you got to deal with the rest of your life. But you know, everyone's got to live their life, and you can only be upset for so long. But it's one of those. I'm here to learn from everyone too, because there is no foolproof way. There is not.
No, that's what I think I wanted to point out. This is an art. There is no science to this. We are trying a new method. We're going to launch a web page. It's going to have a questionnaire on the second page, and then we're going to send them through a video interview to try to weed out what we found when we go with a Craigslist or an Indeed is you get so many people who are just applying
to
I don't
every
know,
single
to
job that they see.
yeah, dude, and it's like a mountain of applications and resumes, and you might get two out of it, maybe. And that's if you are diligent enough to stick with it and go through the entire pile and not start
Right.
like, you know. So I don't know that those sites are the best. We haven't had a lot of success on them. We just get a lot of tire kickers, to be honest with you.
A lot of people
But
who
this
know
is
how to manipulate the technology and use it and to their advantage, right? Like
We actually
I
get
think
quite a
some of
few hits from like people like across the country saying, "Hey, I'll come work for you. You know, I have experience." But then it's like, how do I can't pay for your relocation costs? Like we're
yeah,
not big enough to do something like that. And that's what someone's looking for. They're looking for like to help them out, so to come over here and start. And we're just not at that level to be able to offer something like that.
oh, well, and even if you were, it's really risky
Right.
because you pay
yeah,
the relocation costs, and you can do it in a way that you know, is tiered. We've done it before, not for installers, but for project managers. Um, but to be frank with you, I lost $3,500 not 5 months ago on a on that deal. We learned our lesson. Like, okay, we've done it. This was our third or fourth time doing this. First time we got burned this way, but the guy poofed after he got the money.
yeah,
So we decided, okay, if you can't afford to get here, then we're willing to reimburse your costs, but not pay for them up front. So that's what I would recommend to anybody is if you are going to do it, they come, get themselves there on their own accord, and then you can reimburse some of the costs, whatever you guys feel you know, you can work out. But you know, paying up front has bit us in the rear end. We lost like $3,500. You know, to me, I always look at how big of a job I have to do to make $3,500,
yeah.
you know,
We do the same.
and you know what I mean? And I'm like, God, dog, I just did a, you know, $20,000 job for free,
Right.
or $30,000 job for free, you know? And that's kind of how I quit it in my mind. So that's one thing I would say is like reimburse travel costs if you are going to pay or help somebody relocate. I also say I've never paid for somebody's complete cost. Like if there's a reason they're in that dire of a strait that they can't get here, then they typically come with a ton of baggage.
Right.
And
And
Yeah.
we've been that reimbursement, we've been talking about that too with even with training because we've just seen money fly out the window these past few years where it's like, hey, we want to they say they want training and then you send them to training and then like they're gone and that training stays with them. So absolutely we'll do, you know, we're thinking about doing that reimbursement to where it's like, all right, you pay the upfront cost and then you'll get it back, you know, on a weekly or monthly basis. That way we're not out of pocket for everything. And then that way if you end up leaving tomorrow, that's not my
yeah,
certification anyways.
Yeah.
because here's the truth, like you're not going to get a non-compete on an installer to stick. You can't do it. I don't care where you're at in the country, how
Yeah.
strong. In Kansas, non-competes are pretty weak from the way the legislation looks at it, like court cases and stuff. Plenty of them get overthrown. The courts just don't like to hamstring employees from being able to do their job. And in the skilled trades, they're they're not going to work. So
Well, you
your
can't
best
stop someone
bet,
from working. Yeah, it's well, how are you going to have a stronghold over someone's career, right? Like they've earned that, no matter who they've worked with. We'll never do that to anybody because even though it's hard to accept the loss of the dollars and cents invested, I know me as an individual, I would really, really be upset if I felt like someone was trying to control my direction.
yeah.
I wouldn't have it.
Yeah, we never do it for installers. We have done it with PMs, but our no non-compete is written in a way that's very defensible because we only have 6 months and that's it. Like we just need 6 months to get our feet around the projects you've sold and contact our clients and you know make sure they know they're still going to be taken care of. We need 6 months. So it's 6 months and no, like I beat one for a guy, competitor of mine had a non-compete on and we won, but it was 2 years, 250 miles. Judges aren't going to uphold that. This is people's livelihoods. So non-competes are good if you can get them enforced. I wouldn't say they're good for installers. I would never put one on an installer, but you know, if you have a client facing person like a salesperson or a project manager or something, they can be enforceable. I would just say make them really short time frame and small radius. Like you can't make a guy move away from
Right.
his home. To me, that just is ridiculous. First off. Secondly, like it doesn't need to be 2 years. 6 months is plenty of time for you to get your footing with your clients and make sure they're taken care of. And then that guy goes work for someone else and starts calling your clients and trying to get work. Well, you just got to be better than that. So unfortunately, that's just part of being a business owner. When we're talking about installers, I mean, you know, the old way of hiring, unfortunately, is starting to dry up. And that's why I think this conversation is needed. And that is the dad having a son coming into the business or a couple of nephews or something. Is just drying up, man. It just like I shouldn't say it's drying up, it's dried up. And so we got to find new creative ways to hire people. And I know that the FCEF is doing a lot of good work. So reaching out to them would be a good thing. Coming down the pipe, we have some new things with Go Carrera that'll help, called Jumpstart, where once we launch Jumpstart, any installer in our network can hire off of that Jumpstart board, but so can companies. So if, for example, if Jumpstart's good and you get a couple of new helpers that come on the Jumpstart board that have went through some level of training through the FCEF, they'll go on our Jumpstart board. And if they're close enough, maybe you guys as a company can hire them. Stewart and Associates as a company could hire. So we're trying to foster a way to get new people in onto a board where we're not having to decipher through line cooks and you know what I'm saying? Like,
right. It's specific to our needs in our industry. And that's everybody else has it. They 100% have it.
So I think there's some new ways that we're trying out at Stewart and Associates. Like I said, if this works out, I'm gonna share it with everybody, like for free. I just want more installers in our industry. So if it works out for us, I'll be putting it on the huddle on exactly what we did and how you guys can do it. But we're gonna spend the money to test it out. We think we got a good method.
More
And
qualified
it's
installers.
yes, yes.
Well, when they're brand new, it's hard to qualify them, right? Because they still need to get a taste.
Yeah, even if they've went through some level of training, the success rate there, you just got to expect is going to be a little bit lower because they haven't been out in the field and really gotten a taste of what the
Yeah.
industry is. So, but anything that starts to work, I'm going to share. So we're hoping that we attract, like in our video interview, we're asking questions and that only an installer would really know. And it's hard to Google and figure it out quickly. And the video interview side of this is basically the basic setup is there'll be a landing page about the benefits of getting into the flooring industry and how robust our industry really is, but we need more installers, and come one, come all, regardless of sex, gender, race, any of that. Please consider flooring as a viable option for a career. If they go through that and they fill out our questionnaire, it's just questions, written questions. They type in their answers. That comes in, and each answer will have a number value to it. And if they score a certain amount, then we will invite them to a video interview. With that video interview, it will be questions posed on the screen, and then they answer them live, just like this. But they only have like a minute. So you're not going to be Googling and trying to find the answer. You'll run out of time.
What was the question again?
So we try to make it tight so that they can't just, Google the answer, and you'll know if they do really. But it's meant to kind of weed out everybody. And then anybody who makes it through that video interview would be offered to come in for a final in-person interview. And hopefully we get plenty of those kind of guys. And we're looking for experienced guys, but we're also looking for people who answer the soft skill questions well. Like how one of our questions, for example, is how closely do you feel an employee should be supervised? Right? We want to know, do they feel like they need that micromanagement, or are you got two ends of that spectrum, and we try to stay away from the two ends. The guy that's like, I don't want any management, or the guy that's like, I would like to have input on an hourly basis. We're looking for the guy that's a little more centered, the installer that's a little more centered, like, until I know a good answer would be something like, until I know exactly what I'm doing, I would love to have a resource to lean on. However, once I'm proficient, I don't see the need for heavy supervision. That kind of a deal would be a good answer, for example. But yeah, this thing is an art, and we're trying some new stuff. You guys got any great ideas that
taco party?
Taco party.
Just invite everybody over for tacos. They gotta pass some of the questionnaire, and then they come for a taco dinner, and then that's where the final interview is.
I don't know. I
Taco eating contest.
We've seen both sides of the spectrum, where some people interview really great, and then those are the same people that don't even show up for the first day.
Yeah.
And then there's some people that kind of struggle just because that's how they are. And then they come in and it's like, yeah, this person is a worker. Then.
Yeah, references are about the only way to get through that. But even getting references anymore is tough. You call a company, you better be dedicated to getting references, because company doesn't have to answer you. And a lot of times, they're busy, and you're like the last person they care to talk to about some other installer that worked for him back in the day, you know?
Well,
And
well,
all,
even that, some of the references that they list are just family members posing as somebody else. And you gotta be able to kind of feel that out, ask the right questions.
Yeah. What is your relation to Mr. Gonzalez, for example?
Oh, that dude, oh man, he's my ex-employee.
Well,
Uh,
I do know that, you know, don't quit. Like keep, if you can, one of the reasons we're trying to do this a digital way is to have that flywheel turning all the time and always have
Mhm.
candidates coming through. Where it's really tough if it's dependent on personnel to do it. You know, our COO does a great job, but at the same time, how many interviews can he go through in a week and still do his job, you know? So I don't know. I was getting on
You're
here
right.
hoping you guys had the magic pill.
Oh man, there is no magic pill, man. There is no magic pill, you know. But you know, to leapfrog on what Daniel said there, or piggyback, is he's right. The people who do have all the right answers and all that, those guys are in there. They're very, from our experience, they've been very confident. And now that he said that, it made me go back through some of that process where they were too confident, right? And the guys who were nervous, afraid to say the wrong thing and mess up, ended up being the ones that worked out a lot better for a longer length of time, or are still here. And I guess moving forward, maybe that's the understanding the people skills, right? Like someone who has all the right answers might have all the right answers because they've messed up that many times. They know exactly what to say now. And I never thought about it like that till right now. So,
and me and Paul were kind of talking a little bit before we got on here, and just mentioning people that already have experience and bringing them on, and how a lot of the guys are stuck in their ways. And even they come to us and they're like, we know you guys do great work, I want to learn from you, I want to be on that level. And then 2 months later they're like, I just can't do this anymore, because they get sick of us saying it's not good enough, do it again.
yeah,
Can't believe in stuff like that.
no
Look at this,
shortcuts.
look at this cut right here, you can't leave that, why would you think that's good? And
You know, that gives me some ideas on some more questions. Like, you know, if something could take you 10 minutes doing it close to the right way, but it's going to take you 30 minutes to do it the right way, which way would you go?
Yeah, right. Well, that's
Um,
integrity too, right? Like,
almost posing it that like it's okay to go the shortcut though. That way they
right.
don't think the setup, you know, like um it's like, you know, doing it the shortcut way will still produce a great result, but doing it the industry recommended way produces a warranted result. Which would you go to in stressful times or something? Just
that's actually a good way
formulate
to put it.
questions like that. You know what I mean?
That's a good way to put it, because sometimes the way that it looks the best isn't the way that it's warranted. Sometimes,
Yeah.
you know, and that's what sucks. And some people don't understand it. Like, oh, it looks like this. Well, I just do it like this. Well, that's not the right way. And you know, that's a good question. That's a way to kind of sift through some of the corner or the people who like to cut corners.
Well, we're going to try some stuff because I certainly didn't come on here with this topic, you know, as someone who has all the answers. I just don't. It's a tough thing to hire skilled labor. It's obvious. That's why not just our industry, but all skilled labor is short, particularly in flooring. But so there's just not a right answer. But I would say that it's about what we feel like, and why we're attempting this is to get some consistency, you know, in the recruits that are coming through, and being okay not hiring every single person that comes across. Like, if you can get a consistent qualified in some manner anyway, qualified applicant, then you don't have to just take the first one you get. And that's also a knee-jerk reaction that I think a lot of people do. They get a guy that's come in with, like you said earlier, Daniel, 20 years of experience, but he could have, the fact is that it comes with 20 years of baggage. And it
That's,
could be,
yeah,
if they're not teachable, and that is one of our questions, is on a scale of 1 to 10, rate yourself on how teachable you are. And then we ask another question later that's similar but different, which is, are you a quick learner or do you need more instruction? Right. And there's no right or wrong answer to that question, by the way. That's a 0-point question, meaning either way they answer, it doesn't move them up or down. It's just knowledge on our side.
And I think that's where, like, these younger kids coming into the workforce right now, it's harder because it's the participation trophy kids that are coming in right now, and they've always had that to where they didn't have to work for to earn something, so they think that you're just supposed to give it to them regardless of the way that they're working or behaving at work and stuff like that. So it just makes it that much harder, because the kids that, if you think about like our kids, they're in sports, right? Because we want them to be coachable. Being coachable, converts over to being teachable. So it kind of goes all hand in hand. But when you're just handed stuff like, hey, good job,
yeah.
even to the kids that were crying the whole time when, you take them out because someone else has to play.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny you say that, because yesterday I was late to my nephew's game. I wanted to go and help him out, and afterwards they won the game, and I gave him a little bit of, like, kind of give him a little boost during the game, because he's a little scared when he's up to bat, and he's timid. And he's like, hey, what do I do? And I answered his questions, and he didn't do anything I said. And then after the game, they were like, his coach was like, good job. And I said, don't lie to him. Like it does. If you tell him that's a good job, he thinks that he has nothing to strive for, right? Like you could tell him great effort, but don't tell him good job, right?
Hey guys, I got to run though because they wanted me down there like 10 minutes ago, and I told them I was going to be late.
Well, thanks for joining today, Daniel, and fitting us in.
Before I go, Dirk says that he just wanted to share with everyone that he got an offer on a project, 12-unit apartment, LVP, for $1 a square foot and $0 for prep. And
I know that's all regional. That's all regional, but that is very laughable over here.
And after you said the taco comment, Jimmy said he's had our tacos in Southside. He's moving to Grand Rapids. So
that's my boy.
Come on, it's working,
right? Mr. Salisbury Steak. Let's go.
All right, guys, take it easy. I wish I could stay streaming, but it'll just stay streaming the whole time I'm gone.
No worries. Thanks for coming in.
Put a timer on it.
I tried. It didn't work.
All right, Bubba.
All right. See you, Daniel.
Well, we'll be able to share the stream anyway. So
as we go here, the hiring training thing is like, it's a complicated thing, but do you agree that if a mechanism can be found to just keep a flow going? Have you ever seen the show Suits?
Yes.
Okay, so they every year that Harvard would have a graduating class coming through, that law firm always gets the first look. So the guys that were hired last year, guys and the people, men and women who were hired last year or in previous years, are always on pins and needles when that new class comes through, and they're always, and it seems a bit cutthroat, but I wish we had some level of that in our industry, where it's like a consistent free flow of installers coming through, and keeps current installers striving, but also just allows for new people to come in and get trained. At this point, I wouldn't let anybody go. I'd just be hiring. There's such a shortage, but interesting thought.
It is too. And recently I was able to sit down with the mayor of Walker, where our business is located, and there was a young lady there who's working on his staff, and they're trying to develop new ways to engage local business owners, right, for opportunities. And she had asked, like, what are we missing? And it just happened to be that the guy in charge of finances for one of the local schools was there too. And I said, we need placement and tests at the high school level, so that way people know what direction they should be going. Like higher education, like if you're going to do it, do it. Like I would never tell anyone never to entertain that, but at the same time, it's like if you're going for higher education, what field are you going to go into? You have your gen ed classes, but what are you striving for? And it would help create a better opportunity for success for everyone, not just the individual, the student, the person, but the community. And even if they don't graduate high school, right? Like at what age do they start doing that? Is it something that could be public and available to push them towards their strengths and say, well, you would succeed in these fields. And I think that's where,
Yeah, they used to do that. Used to do competency type
they
testing in
did.
high school back in the day, whether you are, college material or not, so to speak. And that was, now that's non-existent, mostly because they don't want to hurt no one's feelings. But the truth is, not
Yeah.
everybody should go to college. I didn't go to college.
I didn't.
You
I mean,
know?
I tried, and then like they said that I couldn't make a living if I was attending. So
Yeah.
sorry, dude. Like you're telling me that I have to like tell my family they're not going to have anywhere to live because I'm just trying to better my future. No, I'll figure out a way.
Yeah,
But
I know a lot of people who didn't go to college, and there's plenty of multi-billionaires that didn't go to college. But if you're wanting a really good job and it's going to be, you're an accountant or you want to be a attorney or a doctor or computer science stuff, yeah, college can be really beneficial. But I
Yeah.
think it's a waste of money and a waste of time if you're going into and your heart's not really in the social services side of the world, like a liberal arts degree or some crap like that, or gender studies, all this stuff. I mean, at the end, how is it going to help your future? And we've just gotten so far away from that, and everybody started going to college. And we've talked about this on not only on this podcast, but multiple other podcasts talk about it all
Yeah.
the time. We know that problem, but I'll tell you one thing, the AI revolution has started. There's plenty
Yeah.
of jobs going extinct that just, if you sit behind a computer, you ought to be worried about your job in a lot of ways. But they're not going to be doing carpet or tile anytime soon with AI. I'll tell you that. So get your hand skills. That's my point to
100%.
everybody.
No one can ever take it away from you, no matter what hand skills you try to, or what field you go into. No one can take that away from you. And that's really what it is.
So when you guys do hire somebody new, do you have a particular training method? Do you put them on some type of schedule or?
Man, so that's the hard one, right? Because we're not as large as most would think, and a lot of it when we hire, and it sucks to say it like this, but we hire because we're in need of it. We don't hire as far as being preventative for what's going on. Sometimes we do have the luxury of someone coming in and we're starting to look and we find someone before the storm hits. But usually it's like as the storm hits, right? Like if something's dying off or someone just happens to lose a job and they make a phone call, hey, so-and-so said you guys might be hiring. Yep, we are. And we kind of throw the guys to the wolves, so to speak. It's, you're going to learn how to swim pretty quick, right? But then we've also went about like, all right, let's put them in the field a couple days, then come and work in the box. Let's do some explanation, a little bit of hands-on training. Let's try to do that. I think we talked about doing 2 weeks in a box here at the shop before they go to the first job. Tool education and stuff like that. But it all depends on their level of understanding on how we try to approach it. We say all these things, but then when everything comes down to the nitty gritty, we're like, yep, okay, we were going to have you do this, but we really need you over here now.
Yeah.
People who do
well, we still, maybe the only thing that we do that's I think maybe outside the box a little bit, but is we have a module. We'll have them install to prove their level of ability. But at the end of the day, man, we still do it the old way. We put them with an installer. We do circulate them through several of our lead installers to find a good fit for them, as well as a good make sure that, like, some guys really like tile, some of them really gravitate
Yeah.
to carpet and that. So, but from a but it's still the old way. You stick them with somebody and you hope that they learn some stuff. And we've got some really good installers that just are really crappy trainers, and so a guy will get with them and not learn anything over the course of an entire year. So my answer is get them in plugged into some outside training entities if you can, if you have a good resource locally. And if not, we found a lot of success in sending guys to Protect All trainings, send them to NORA certifications and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
We-
you just got to
we-
lean on it.
We're actually working on that right now. As a matter of fact, there was some things that came across the desk as far as kind of offsetting some of the costs. I think Daniel mentioned it early when I got on a little bit later, but offsetting the cost of the onboarding process, and we're doing our best to. Essentially, in a nutshell, what I just did is I just submitted a lot of the training programs to the state of Michigan, so that way they can be recognized. Because we found out that there is essentially there's grant money available for trainings. The problem is that it's more for corporate America instead of construction America. So a lot of what I submitted is all brand new, but fingers are crossed. And I just got word today, right before the podcast, that we've made it through step 4 of the process. And I think there's one more step after that. So we'll see if it's approved. And if it isn't approved, it's a learning process for the state of Michigan and some of the government funds and how they allocate them, and opens up their eyes as to what's available.
So that was a federal grant type thing.
Yeah, I think it's a state grant, not a federal grant. I think it's a state grant. So, but yeah, I
Gotcha.
mean, it's available, and I didn't know that, right? So I had very few days to prep for it. It threw a lot on my plate, but I did it, man, and I'm excited to see what happens. Hopefully it helps us, and it makes it easier for us to, like you said, to have someone attend a 2-week or 5-week introductory class with CFI or FCICA or I'm sorry, FCEF. So that way it can offset some of the costs, and it's easier pill to swallow. So it's not so much of a, here's your investment and hopefully it works, right? 'Cause that's what's been happening.
Yeah. Yeah, the hiring of hourly installers, subs are a little bit different. That's why this is more geared towards employee installer
Mhm.
talk. But I think that make sure that if you are going to hire employee installers, that you're treating them the same as you treat your office. I remember, and I said early in and on this podcast that I would, I had some lessons I learned as an employee installer myself. One of them being that if you divide your salespeople and your project managers,
Mhm.
you essentially your office from your field in benefits, and they're treated better in the office, you're setting a really bad tone. And
Right.
so all of our hourly employee installers have the same health insurance coverage that I have. They have the same as anybody in the office. They get the same days off and holidays and all of that stuff. So they get the same, they accrue vacation time at the same
The same rate.
frequency. It's
Yeah.
the same rate, everything. So I remember, like, we got no paid holidays, we got no paid vacations, but the office did. And so I would say, don't do that. And if you are a
Yeah.
company that does that, that's not good.
Yeah.
I won't say nothing else, but I would say
we
that's
were-
a terrible thing to do.
As a terrible model. It is, because we were those guys who we recognized the difference in treatment early on, and we used to call. I didn't refer to office guys as like we were a whole separate team. It was them and it was us, right? It's always their word against our word. It wasn't a team effort, and we promise not to be like that. And I think we've done pretty good. I mean, there's always instances where people are like, oh, but you guys have all this and that. It's like, you know, me being where I'm at, I do have the ability to leave my station and come back and finish my work, right? I do have that ability. That is a perk of working in the office setting versus the field, right? You need to be in the field to get the work done, and that is, there's nothing I could change about that. However, what they don't see is that if I do have to take off for an hour to go take my kid to a dentist appointment or something like that, or go attend an event outside of work, I come back and work until 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. But if they leave for a dentist appointment or a doctor appointment, they don't come back and say, all right, I'm going to make up that time. I'm just going to take the rest of the day off, and so guys who are employees.
There's
they look
pros
at it-
and cons to
Yeah,
each.
yeah.
It's just about having a mutual respect between your office and your field and making sure there's not this clear, like, office staff gets treated so much better than the field. That's just, to me, that's the way that adds separation and adds this wedge between the
Yeah.
two. I think, that's probably, at the very least, about the lowest line thing you should do as a
Mhm.
company is make sure that the guys who are actually making you the money by putting the product on the floor, they're treated the same way, just as fair as your office is.
We all eat
But
out
I
of the
tell you
same
what,
same refrigerator here, man. We all eat out of the same refrigerator. So keeping it organized and stocked up is up to us. But essentially, we all open the same door. We all reach in and grab the same stuff. So I
Yeah.
like it that way.
yeah, and I'll, I don't want to keep beating a dead horse here because it's not like we're giving you guys a bunch of revolutionary ideas, but we are talking through this. It's a bit of a conversation, but I would say that, if you can make your installers feel proud of what they're doing, treat them fairly, you'll keep them. We have a good retention for installers at our company. One of them is oftentimes the installers come into our office to work when we're really slow in the field. That doesn't happen very often, but if a guy, as opposed to sitting at home, we'll bring him in the office and have him work. In fact, we had a guy that had knee surgery and he was in the office for about 4 weeks or so, and he learned, like, it's not all rosebuds and sunshine in the office. It's stressful. There's a lot of like pressure on the office staff. If you're an estimator, you got time frames all the time. If you're a PM, you're always dealing with these coordination and schedules and multiple project managers and superintendents on projects, and the installers learn quickly, like, each day I get to go to one job for the most part. I mean, sometimes you'll go to a couple, but for the most part, you're going to one job and you're dealing with one set of people. In any given day, I could be dealing with 7, 8, or 9 as a PM.
Yeah. Today was one of those days for me. I actually, my sister helped relieve some of my pop-ups for today. This has not been the last 2 days have been really, really rough on the schedule with changes and other trades not showing up and people being sick and not able to complete their tasks, and unfortunately put us in a weird position. But the magical fingers and phone calls of Jose got everything kind of squared up and figured out, and we're back on track.
Good deal. Well, I will report back. Kind of talked about a little bit about what we're going to be trying at Stewart and Associates, and we are going to give that a shot, and we are going to if we have good luck with it, we're going to share it with the world. So
that's another question that I have is like I might know the answer, but and it might sound like a dumb question, but do larger companies with more capacity have to have a different template to follow for the onboarding process than a smaller company, right? Because the reason I ask that is the dollars and cents and sustainability of a new hire is a little bit different for someone who has a larger capacity versus someone who is a little bit smaller. And that's the question for the audience too. Like seriously, like I want to know. I want to know what everyone does. If you have 200 employees versus 10 employees, what's your
Mhm.
approach? Were you at 200 employees at one point, but now you're down to 20, or vice versa? What have you changed? Why did you change?
Yeah. Yeah,
the stuff
that's
that I'd like to know.
yeah, I can only speak to, I've been to, several conferences, one of them being, we're a member of Fuse. And there was a guy that did a talk about a lot of the stuff they do to hire and retain. And man, it's a big company, and they've got a team almost assembled in
Mm.
doing this. So like, it's obviously not easy. But I know that the efforts, it's got to be put forth. What do you do? You can't give up. You got to have people. So keep fighting the good fight. And if anybody is watching this on YouTube, comment and tell us what you're doing, and
Heck yeah.
let us know what's working for you, and what maybe doesn't work for you. It'd be interesting to see some input on that. So with that, my friend, I think we're going to close it out a little bit early today.
Yeah, I know. Without Daniel, we're just lost. Jeez.
Well, it's a tough subject because it crosses the line of a lot of the subjects we go over every week. There's some aspect of training and
Mhm.
hiring to almost all of this, and to have the subject just be hiring and training, we probably could have afforded a few more companies to come on and talk about this with us. That would have been a good idea by me, now that I have it after
Well,
the podcast. But
it's all good.
we can hit that in the future.
Sounds like a plan to me.
All right, my man. Well, have a great day, and we'll talk to you next week, and look forward to connecting again. And you are going to some shows coming up, so I just want to say to the audience, if you guys want to come out and hang out with us and maybe jump on the podcast, we're going to definitely be at the FCEF, or I'm sorry, the FCICA/CFI event in September. We're also probably going to be at TSP coming up, Total Solutions Plus. So come check us out there. And again, if you have any ideas on what's worked best in hiring, whether it's like experienced guys or just really good gals and guys that you found that are not necessarily the most experienced, but turned out to be a great hire for you, let us know.
That'd be great.
All right, guys. Well, my man, I should say.
Yes, sir.
Daniel's already
Yeah.
gone. We will see you next week, my friend.
Have a good one. Thanks, everyone.
All right. We'll see ya.